Ja, då är vi på plats i Takefu, byn som är väldigt känd bland folk som älskar knivar. I Sverige och Europa så känner man till ofta Takefu. Och just nu så har vi kommit till Ryusen Hamono, ett av våra favoritknivar, eller favoritsmeder som gör en mängd olika serier av knivar. Så det ska bli spännande idag att titta på det här. Okej, så det här är ju då själva showroomet och det som man välkomnas av när man kommer in.
Nice, isn't it? What is the weight? Of weight of that chopstick? Is it like a Korean chopstick?
New project, you can say, with titanium.
Right.
I also explain that.
Så det här är alltså factory number 1 här i Ryusen. Ja, då är vi inne i en smedja eller en fabrik där man gör Rysens knivar då. So this is the grinding process of shaping the blade and make the blade thin. And they grind these blades and they put them in liquid that is anti-rust, so it doesn't oxidize and doesn't rust while they're working. So the magical color there is just anti-rust for the blade to not.
In the case of the making of the knives, there are two processes: the water and the fire.
Yes.
Okay. So that is why the elements, or one of the 5 elements most important to making of a knife, is the purity of the water, and then the purity of the charcoal that you get. So water and fire. The guys with water only do the grinding work. So you have a big wheel, as you can see when Pigga is shooting, and if you look at the front, there's a piece of plywood that he's leaning on at the front. Okay, now that's a really important piece of equipment because that has to, the height of that has to arrive at the navel. Okay, so that when you have the knife in the jig and in your hand, and you lean forward, your body leans into that piece of plywood, so that you get all your weight behind the wheel without actually falling into the wheel and grinding your face off. So it's really, really important. And once you look at the back, if you see the back, where and if you take a close up of that PK, it's like really, it's like lava. It's like almost like lava.
The excess metal that just shot up on the wall.
Yeah. Now we're in a kind of clean modern factory, so it's cleaned pretty often. If you go to some of the old ones, that thing is almost 10, 15, 20 centimeters thick.
Yeah, I mean, we've both seen those places where the wall is maybe...
Yeah, and what he's doing, which is flattening the blade. Now, also with these, if you look at the stone that's not wheeling around, you can see the roughness and everything. And what they do is they take a chisel every so often and start beating it with a chisel to make the stone cleaner, and also to make the grinding process faster.
Better,
faster. So this process is used by most manufacturers and most workshops. They do the thinning like we saw before on the big wheels, but that is taking the straight sides of the blade into the V shape. Now, if you look here very closely, this is the right side, this is the left side of the blade. He's putting them in, and it's slightly automated because you get absolute perfection. When you make from this process by hand, you don't get that absolute perfection which Ryusen is very famous for. Their blades are thin and they're very, 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 very smooth, and the angle is absolutely even from the start on the hilt of the blade to the tip of the blade. In a normal knife which is made, and this process is done by hand, the actual angle changes maybe by minutes, not even degrees. But when you're cutting something, 1 minute can make a difference between feeling something which is like cutting through butter and something like which is cutting through a very, very hard piece of material. If you're looking for smoothness and you're looking for something which just literally does, if you have your eyes closed and you don't know whether you've when you started cutting and when you finished cutting until you hit the board. I mean, if you have your eyes closed, I would say that 70–80% of the knives that Ryusen makes, I would challenge somebody to have their eyes closed and tell me when they've cut a piece of potato and when they've stopped.
So
this is before, you cannot see nothing.
no. Ah, magic.
You can
Yeah.
see the change. No?
So what the blast
The Damascus
appears
with the
again,
blast,
yeah.
we call it sandblasting, but it's not sand. Actually, it's
Glass
a
beads.
small dust of metal dust. With the small metal dust, we scratch the soft layer, and that's why the soft layer gets brighter. No? That's the
Yeah.
soft layers of the knife. The white part is the soft layer.
Okay, so in order to put the final edge on the blade, you can't really use it on stones when you're producing a lot of knives. So he's using a very fine grit stone on a vertical basis, so that the serrations are going down across the blade like that, rather than at an angle. So when you're cutting with it, whether you cut with the left hand or the right hand, it will feel very, very similar. He's now double checking, making sure, and putting in. They will now do the final stropping and the final sharpening of the blade on the stone at the end there. But we won't see that process today, I don't think.
No. And also they used to let it drop on a big wheel like that.
Yes.
They just take away burr and
the last one, which is a series of flaps. It's not a flat stone, it's a series of flaps. So it literally just removes the tiniest burrs that you might have. Really, there's hardly any burrs left after they finish, but just in case.
So after they come from the vertical whetstone, it's now time to take away all excess burr and stuff like that. And here they cut in paper. Last place they didn't cut in paper, they cut in something else because they think that the edge is going, but a Ryusen knife will not lose its edge for that. This is perfection in all the way.
It's amazing about the sound. You see it? The final removal of the edge, that you're shaving. There's something that's like the hair. There. You're literally taking a hair from the edge.
Så här har vi då Takamuras ställe i Takefu Knife Village.
Welcome to factory number 2.
Thank you.
Same factory number 2. Mostly we do handle parts here. But we have to do it all the position by terrain.
Det är Rysens nya handtag, varhandtag, som de själva gör här. Handtag är någonting som oftast inte görs på plats. Men hos Rysen så gör man skaften och man ser till att finishen blir så hög som man vill. Och det här kanske är en anledning till att Rysen har den bästa finishen på just skaft och kopplingar mellan kniv och skaftmaterial. So Rysen is famous for their high finishing of the product, and they actually make their own handles in many ways. The finishing of the handle is made by Ryusen Hamono themselves. And that might be one of the reasons for the extreme high quality and extreme high finishing of every part of their work.
And it's so refreshing.
We don't like it because you're used to it.
So this is the polishing of the bolster to make it really shiny and nice. And of course, it is shiny as any Ryusen product. It is perfection all the way. The soba.
Like the soba.
Yeah.